Hello everybody and welcome. Thank you for joining today's webinar with Odessa Minerals. I'm Annabel Munro, Account Director here at Investability, and I'm delighted to be joined by Alistair Stephens, the CEO of Odessa Minerals. Now, it's an inspiring time for Odessa as the company looks to expand optionality, recently submitting 2 mineral licenses over a major alluvial diamond channel that drains south from the Argyle diamond mine. To give an overview of how this webinar will progress, Alistair will briefly talk us through the highlights of the presentation before opening up to a Q&A session. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you, Alistair, to run us through the highlights.
Thank you very much, Annabel. Good morning, everyone. It's fantastic to be here, even though it's by virtual communications, but that's the way things are these days. I'd rather be there in person, but it's a bit difficult. Even though the borders in Western Australia opened up, it's still a little bit difficult to travel around. So I'm glad to be on the webinar. Odessa Minerals, our first official webinar presentation since the company has been listed on the 18th of January. It's been a tumultuous 6 or 7 weeks. We've been doing a lot of work sometimes you have to scratch yourself. We're only a 7-week-old company. So we're delighted with the progress we've made so far. I won't read the disclaimer. I'll save everyone that issue. So the corporate overview, our ASX code ODE, our market cap at the moment is about $10.5 million. And I know everyone's interested in the share price, and I'm just as disappointed as everyone else that we're at 1.5, having listed at 2, down 30%. I see this morning it's recovering a little bit, which is good. I invested at 2 cents, so I'm with you on where the share price is. We have $5.5 million cash in the bank, and our enterprise value is about $4.7 million at the moment. So shares on issue, 733, with another 150 million of unlisted options. Our top 5 shareholders are there, which I won't do too much introduction to, but they are good, reliable, long-term shareholders. Our board consists of Zane Lewis, who came through with the Fargo transaction. A great guy, lots of commercial background, fantastic corporate experience. So it's a delight to be with him. I have a fantastic relationship with him, which is really important for a CEO and a chairman. Darren Holden and Lisa Wells, both very inspiring directors to be with. Darren is a person of amazing energy, and Lisa has lots of energy too, but an enormous amount of wealth associated with the diamond industry, and has some intimate knowledge of both the Aries and the other projects we have. And she hadn't worked on the Aries projects before, so having that experience on the board is fantastic. So the investment snapshot is why diamonds? Simply, Argyle shut down, supply's down, demand's up, and prices are rising. Why Odessa? We've got some great brownfields projects. It's not the greenfields. The diamonds, the Aries diamond pipe and 20 other pipes that we have all have diamond occurrences. And we've got projects where there's alluvial channels that we know are diamondiferous. So there are relatively walk-up targets. Some need access agreements and heritage agreements that are granted, and others that are ungranted, we're going through the process of actually getting them into the granted stage so we can do some work. What is our objective? We want to be a producer of diamonds, and we want to be an ethical supplier of diamonds, such that it's sustainable, and there's a real focus on the fact that our ESG principles tally with our ethically sourced diamond principles. And we have a quality team, experienced people. We've also appointed Grant Boxer, who Grant is a person with extraordinary amount of diamond experience too. I think he's got 40 years. He says he's partly retired, but he says he's working harder now he's in retirement than ever before. And Grant's experience and advice to us has been fantastic. In fact, he was one of the reasons we picked up the new tenement south of Argyle. So I'll explain that in a moment. There's been no significant diamond exploration in Australia for 20 years. In fact, I read some statistics the other day that the entire exploration expenditure for diamonds last year in Australia was $4 million. That's how low. And why is it only $4 million? Well, Argyle was producing millions of carats, and it was difficult to actually access the market. Now that it's closed, there is a huge deficit in the diamond supply chain. So as I said before, means there's a restriction on supply, supply's down, demand is up, and prices are rising. And there's been a revitalisation in the diamond sector too. You've seen Le Carper's acquisition of the Merlin Diamond Mine, which I think was a great acquisition. I think that was well done by those guys. And they've got a fantastic project in Africa. And Burgundy Diamond's acquisition of Ellendale, I'm sure will be a great outcome as well. They've got the alluvial channel, which is pretty certain to have some yellow fancies within that deposit. The other one that you don't see in the market is a company called India Bore, which is south in Allendale. They're a private company, and they're producing diamonds out of that project as well. So there is some revitalisation in the industry. It's looking pretty good. The market's changing, has changed, not changing. Ethically sourced diamonds are a big factor in people's acquisitions of a diamond. And so we have also diamond pipes that have diamonds in them. So it's a pretty good proposition, I think. Here are our assets. When we came to market on listing, we had the Aries, the Ellendale, and the Kalyana and Nookenbar projects. We've now added Argyle South. So let me explain those projects in brief. We've got a great diamond footprint. So over to the left of this presentation, there are commercially exploited diamond pipes in Australia, which are Argyle, plus the Ellendale pipes. Our Odessa's Kimberley pipe footprints there, that's the Aries project. And the other ones, which are lamproite pipes, just a slightly different chemistry from a geological perspective, but they are diamond-bearing pipes as well. And they're our portfolio there, Walgett, Mount Abbott, Kalyana. So the point is that we have lots of pipes. We have got good footprints. Not all pipes are diamondiferous, but we've got a good chance within all these that we'll find something that's economically viable. Certainly, the Aries looks like a great project at this point in time. And that represents the footprint of Argyle, which was a producing mine, against some of the pipes that we have. So you can see that the size and the dimensions of the pipes we've got is important in terms of our footprint. Argyle only produced from a very small area within that pipe. So all you need is a footprint about the size of a high-rise building in a city, which isn't very much, to find an economic diamond mine if you're looking for a pipe. Here's the Aries project. Previous bulk sampling in 1991 and 1987, before that, recovered almost 5,000 diamonds and about 1,070 carats. So in those 181 diamonds, 95% were gem and semi-gem quality. There are alluvial channels around the Aries project. What we're focusing on first will be the diamond pipe itself and doing some drilling and some augering around that. I'll explain that in a minute. We've remodeled the geophysics for Aries, and we've understand now that there are the exposed pipes to the north, and there's this dike-like feature which goes to the south, which is ironically looks kind of like the dimension of Argyle. It looks like these pipes coalesce at depth and then have a fissure. So, but what we found out just this week is that we've loaded some old geological data from historic databases, which weren't electronic, weren't digital. They're all paper formed. And the geology of what we see in drill holes matches the geophysical interpretation of the diamond pipe we have, which is, I think, quite unusual. It's a really good exercise. So it gives us some confidence that on the right-hand side there, this green pipe that we've got there is actually a real feature with almost the right kind of dimension geologically. It's not just a geophysical image. So that's particularly useful. This thing is almost 5 kilometres long and 900 metres deep. So there's a lot of area to be explored within this project. There's some of the previous qualities of gems that were pulled out from the Aries bulk sampling exercise. Some are gem quality, some are semi-gem quality, some are good sizes, up to 6 millimetres. So there's certainly a lot of opportunity to find further diamonds within the project. Our drill program will be focused on 2 issues. One, doing some augering or some bulk sampling at the surface, whether it be an excavator or augering, such that we can find macro diamonds. then diamond drilling at depth so that we find microdiamonds. Now, in the auguring, we hope to actually find the microdiamond to macrodiamond relationship. So if you have 100 microdiamonds per 100 kilos, and you've got 3 carats per 100 tonne, you can make an association then at depth when you've got a microdiamond account in a diamond hole. There's a relationship, and if you get a high microdiamond account, you can make an assumption you're in a zone where there's larger. We've added Argyle South to our tenement. This was one that Grant Boxer recommended, and it's along the Bow River. So the Argyle Diamond Mine there is sort of centre left in that image. And you can see the Wesley Spring Creek will drain south, and the Western Australian Mines Department database has diamond occurrences along the Bow River there, where our tenement is, a tenement application is. And then we've hashed in some areas yellow and grey, which are occurrences of alluvial systems outside the river system. So we feel that this is a good project where there's going to be potential opportunity for our alluvial diamond system. On the left there down the corner is one of the diamonds that Grant has or had photographed from this project when he worked on it years ago, doing those bulk samples. While it's brown and a bit dark and dirty, at least it shows there's diamond occurrences. Of course, Argyle produced pink diamonds, so we'd hope that in our project acquisition there that we'll be able to find a couple of pinks along the way with some other good diamonds. Ellendale, mentioned before that Burgundy had picked up that area along from the Ellendale mine with the alluvial system, which is that pinky red zone within the tenement acquisition within that photograph there. And the red is their alluvial systems where they're chasing their alluvial diamond occurrences. The blue is what Odessa has in our project applications at this point in time, overlain with black, which is our alluvial channels, or the paleo or current alluvial channels within that area. And the yellow diamonds are the occurrences of diamonds within those areas. This is in application at the moment. We'll hope to progress that to a fully granted license by the end of this year. But we'd hope that we'd get some win out of the alluvial deposit from there too. The yellow, out of interest down the bottom there, is India Bore Holdings. I mentioned they were a private company currently recovering diamonds from their tenements to the south. So there's diamonds that appear to be shedding from all those diamond pipes within the Ellendale area. Nookambara and Kalmanada. These are particularly large diamondiferous pipes. We've done some recent remodelling of the geophysics of the Kalyana system, both looking for alluvial channels plus the nature of the dimension of the diamond pipes because of the success we had at Aries with our remodelling of existing data. And we've come up with something similar. The Kalyana and the Layman's Bore West pipe come up as very clear features. Layman's Bore East in the Kalyana tenement hasn't come up quite as clearly, but with some targets there that we're chasing through as well. So what are our objectives? We're currently in the process of, we have completed our environmental survey for Aries. I got that report just Friday, so it's a little bit outdated on the slide there, sorry. The access agreements with the traditional owners is underway, and we've also put a program of works in this week for approval by the government for our program. As I said before, at this stage, it's looking like an auguring and a diamond drilling program. The auguring looking for macrodiamonds and the relationship by microdiamonds to macrodiamonds, and the diamond drilling deeper to find microdiamonds so that we can make an assumption on the relationship of the grade of microdiamonds at depth associated with macrodiamonds. That's what we're after. And the gravity and geophysical groundwork. There's one pipe within the Aries system that doesn't have a magnetic feature, which we did in the geophysics. It looks to be, the guys are telling me that a gravity geophysical survey is more than likely going to be successful on it because it's a heavier, denser type material. And Lisa says, I think that there was some nice diamonds from that pipe as well. So it's sort of associated with that whole system. So there's some opportunities for defining additional pipes within the area system. Ellendale, as I said before, we're progressing with a geophysical assessment. We'd hope maybe this year to do some augering on the Calynyada tenement, pending approval. And then we have Argyle South, which we've added to our tenement profile, 2 new licenses awaiting grant. So the value proposition for Odessa is that we have brownfield projects, they're walk-up targets. We've got a great team, really pleased with who we have there. Importantly, we are all very much focused on ethical behaviours right from the very start of exploration all the way through to when we want to be a producer. We're using new technologies, which I haven't mentioned in this presentation, like passive seismic. They're very effective on alluvial systems. And all it is a box that sits on the ground and measures ground noise, which gives you a profile of where the alluvial systems are. So very much non-interfering, very low impact or no impact exploration. And we have strong market fundamentals at the moment. As I said, supply down, demand is up, and prices are up. On the right-hand side there, this is our motto about respect. Now, this is important for us about managing relationships that last, environmental care, social care, producing responsibly, engaging openly and honestly, cultural and spiritual awareness, and tolerance to diversity. That motto is respect, is an important part of the way we do business. So that's the presentation I have so far this morning. Thank you very much, and I'll hand it back to Annabel.
Thanks for the update, Alistair. It is an interesting time for Odessa as the company embarks on these new activities. So that does bring us to the Q&A section of the webinar. If you wish to submit a question, you can do so through the live Q&A box. But we did have some questions that came through earlier, so I'm going to start with those. This is from Jimmy. Between now and commencing exploration activities at Aries, what activities will the companies be undertaking?
So we've completed our environmental survey at Aries, as I said. I've got some meetings shortly in terms of heritage access agreement for Aries. We've done the geophysical assessment. We're currently discussing candidates for an exploration manager role, and we're trying to pencil in drill rig availability. The augers are probably less problematic, but the diamond drilling rigs may be a little bit more problematic, and we're trying to put our hand on a rig somewhere and pencil it in for a time frame so that we can be ready when we've got the approvals.
This one's from Sabrina. What implications will the diamond industry see as a result of the Ukraine-Russia war?
Without a doubt, what we're seeing in other commodities, every other commodity, whether it be wheat, corn, nickel, copper, alumina, is supply chain disruption. And oil. There's, I think there's 17% of nickel that comes out of Russia, 70% of nickel, 30% of diamonds are produced out of Russia. So it will take years or months to really assess what the real impact of that is. But in the short term, it would appear that there potentially is another supply chain deficit coming because of market perception on Russian commodities in general.
Odessa claims to be working closely with the community. Can you go into more specific detail on the initiatives being taken up by the company? That's from Jenny.
Jenny, we're progressing relationships in a manner that is appropriate with the communities involved. With COVID and the wet season, contact is restricted, so most of it's done remotely at this point in time. We're comfortable with the progress we're making and the community relationships. So on-ground consultation with them will occur once we can get in there. It's, wet season is one thing. This whole COVID situation is also mucking around the whole ability for personal contact. So, but we're happy with the progress so far.
With the increasing focus on ethically sourced diamonds from the consumer market, what are Odessa's commitments to ESD? That's from Joshua.
Josh, we're very much focused on what initiatives and programs that are essential for ultimately producing an ethically sourced diamond. Australia and Western Australia has the right legal framework for all of that, as well as the ethical behaviours and outcomes. But we're also considering the ethical and spiritual issues with the traditional owners as in the lands that we explore as part of our ESD principles. And what I've been putting my thought to is right now, even though it might seem a little bit early in the stage of the company, considering what initiatives we undertake to assess our supply chain inputs and how these conform with our approach such that we are an ethically sourced producer or explorer from the very start. Early days, it's in planning, but it's very much part of our behavioural matrix.
Now, in terms of corporate structure, how much of the company does management own? That's from Dominic.
Dominic's around about 6%, and most of that's Zane or Darren and their associates, and a little bit of me.
One's come through from Lachlan. Will the Aries project be a larger open cut operation than Argyle? And what is the expected length of the Aries operation?
Gee, that's making an early call on that project. You never exclude open cut. I mean, it's the first port you go to because it's much cheaper. And the bulk sample that was taken there in 87, so it's almost 100,000 tonnes, and what was the number? 1,200 carats came out of it. There's always the opportunity for an open cut there. What we're seeing geologically is that it looks like that's very close to being the top of where the volcano was, and there's some dilution from, if you imagine the volcano explodes and then it collapses and explodes and collapses, and all that dilution of wall rock seems to have fallen in very much near the surface where that bulk sample was. And what we're seeing with those diamond holes is it gets increased in grade and depth, and you get less wall rock dilution and contamination. So pending the results of an exploration program that would see it being economic, I'd certainly look at running a shell over it that would determine whether it's economically viable with an open pit. But at this stage, just looking at the grade distribution in microdiamonds, there's some opportunities at depth. So it may well be underground as well, or just underground. So it's too early to tell at this stage, but we'll be looking at all options, obviously.
There's a bit of optionality in Odessa's project portfolio. How will your time be split between the projects? That's from Kurt.
Dominantly focused on Aries at this point in time because it's got the most opportunity and glaringly obvious step-up drill programs for finding macro and micro diamonds. So most of our programs this year will be 90% Aries, and we might put a little bit into Layman's Bore West down in the Calyarda project, pending approvals and blessings from the local communities and traditional owners.
Now, you have touched on this before, but have any drill rigs been secured yet? That's from David.
No, not yet, no.
Will there be any foreseeable changes to board composition or exploration team? That's from Nicole.
No board changes, and we're currently looking for an exploration manager.
And just finally, what is the diamond market forecast to do over the next 12 to 24 months? That's from Christine.
12 to 24 months. Actually, I touched on this just earlier on. So this whole conflict between Russia and Ukraine is really going to create some havoc, I think. So if you go back to the Bain report of 2020-2021, it indicates that supply remains tight, primarily just because Argyle's now out of the production chain, and the demand is increasing. And I saw a report that microdiamond demand is also increasing. So it's not just a particular part of the market, it's all parts of the diamond market that are increasing in prices and demand. So the future looks good. Now, as I said before, Russia supplies about 30% of the global supply of diamonds. So on face value, it would appear that further tightening may result from the current conflict in Europe. Hard to assess the impact on reputation. So if people are placing embargoes on just about anything that's Russian, whether it be money, wheat, corn, metal commodities, equipment, you'd have to say that the same principle obviously must apply to diamonds. And people are selling Russian domiciled assets as well. So no one wants to be part of Russia at the moment. So what happens to the diamonds? Well, of all commodities, diamonds are the most emotional, most precious acquisition you make in your life. And when you're buying a diamond for love, you really want to know the origin of it. And I sort of report that, people that are buying, Canadians are buying diamonds for Canada because they come from a diamond mine in their own country, but they also have some kind of story behind it, whether it be, Native American, Indian influence. So there's a real connection, spiritual connection with diamonds as well as love. So it's going to be on your loved one or yourself for life. And ethically sourcing is going to be a major issue in that purchase. So it's possible the reputation of Russian diamonds, because of the war, will result in an undersupply. I think it's actually likely. I also saw the other day that conflict diamonds were down to below 4% of the supply chain prior to Russia warring against Ukraine, which is a great result for the industry. Obviously not what it wants, because it wants zero conflict diamonds in the market. So if you take the fact that Russia will probably be put into the same basket as that now, 35% of the market is not going to be sourced out of Russia. So it positions all companies, whether you be Odessa, Lucapa, Burgundy, Newfield, Australian company that's got a project in South Africa, diamond mine and development. It's a good position to be in, and the Canadians as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for the update, Alistair. That's all we've got time for today, unfortunately. Yeah, fantastic update and planning ahead for Odessa indeed.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great business to be in. I'm just loving it.
Thanks, Alistair.